After an absolute mudfest last weekend in Anaheim, Stadium Championship Series West returns to Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego, California after a wild first week. Each tour continues to get better and better, and I have a feeling that shows 3 and 4 in Snapdragon Stadium will be one to remember. So without further ado, this is our San Diego 2024 event review. As a reminder, Stadium Championship Series West consists of Adam Anderson in Gravedigger, Ryan Anderson in Son of a Digger, Barry Musawa in Zombie, Camden Murphy in the Bakugan Dragonoid, Colt Stevens in Thunderosaurus, Caleb Blood in Soldier Fortune, Jim Kohler in Avenger, Corey Rummel in Megalodon, Chris Kohler in Monster Mart, Joe Foley in El Toro Loco, David Olfert in Velociraptor, and Mike Christensen in Vendetta. Starting off with Show 1, in Round 1 of Racing, Zombie defeated Vendetta, Son of a Digger defeated El Toro Loco in a photo finish, Avenger defeated Velociraptor, and Gravedigger defeated Soldier Fortune. In Round 2, Zombie defeated Thunderosaurus, Son of a Digger defeated the Bakugan Dragonoid, Megalodon defeated Avenger, and Gravedigger defeated Monster Mart, as Chris Kohler crashes out in the corner. In the semi-finals, Son of a Digger defeated Zombie, and Megalodon defeated Gravedigger. Adam Anderson would hike up in the final turn and try to put the black and green Wrecking Machine back on all 4 BKT tires with this absolutely insane save attempt, but unfortunately rolled over. Either way, it would be Corey Rummel advancing into the finals to face Adam's brother, Ryan Anderson. In the end, Ryan Anderson takes home his 4th racing win of this season. The Skills Challenge was yet another great showcase of the talent that these drivers possess. There were some lackluster runs, yes, but for the most part, it was pretty good. A run that deserves mentioning was 3rd place, which was awarded to Barry Musawa in Zombie. His first hit consisted of a tail-dragging slat wheelie from the jammer all the way up the berm and a vintage Barry Musawa sky wheelie off the step-up. In 2nd place was Camden Murphy, who pulled off a textbook tombstone moonwalk off the backflip and a beautiful moonwalk all the way up the step-up, losing the hood in the process. However, your winner in the Skills Challenge would go to Ryan Anderson in Son of a Digger. Over the last couple of weeks, Anderson has perfected the maximum moonwalk off the backflip, and San Diego was no exception. And with this second hit being a slow, controlled bicycle into a small sidewall save, the run easily took the win and won the whole competition. The new layout that Stadium Championship Series West has been utilizing this year has given us nothing short of absolutely insane freestyle runs. Tonight was no exception, with some of the craziest action from over the season so far. Starting us off was Caleb Blood, and she would have a really good run despite not having a standout factor. The run was just filled with good pace, great combos like this one going from the pod to the step up, insane cyclones at the end, and the only thing I could fault during her run was the random shutoff to remove her hood from the track. Though this was because of the body mounts that had fallen off the truck along with the hood. Corey Rummel hit the track next with an all-out air assault. If there's anything to expect during a Corey Rummel run on this track, expect him to try and transfer from the landing ramp to the angled cars on the outside of the berm. He also had a perfect backflip into moonwalk, a rare sight to see from the CRC trucks, and once again just had generally great pace and huge air. Run would score a 9.384, taking the lead and putting a huge number for drivers to beat. Chris Kohler was challenged with trying to trump his teammate, and trump Rummel he did. The run had about the same level of pace as Rummel's did, maybe was slightly lacking in the big air department, but it made up for it with a great backflip and not 1, but 2 incredible saves. Chris takes the lead away from Corey, scoring a 9.603. Chris's father Jim would hit the track next, and while his run was unfortunately nowhere near as exciting as his son's was, it was still fun to watch. Cola did get some big air throughout, and I think if he had have saved this crash at the end, he would have had a great chance at scoring higher. For only his first full year in stadiums, David Alford has been cooking up some really exciting technical runs. Tonight was no exception, constantly trying to transfer from the landing ramps to the outside of the berm, even trying from the backside of the step up to the outside of the berm as well. The run also had incredible flow, throwing in some two-wheel technicality and a backflip. It was just a really great run from Too Tall. In my opinion, he did get severely underscored, only scoring a 7.810, with Chris Kohler still sitting in the lead. Byron Musawa was next, and he laid down an all-around decent run. It started off great with some patented Byron Musawa slap wheelies, but the run to me felt like it lost some steam afterwards with some alright leaps off the berm and pod. It did feature a backflip, which probably helped him score an 8.083, currently good enough for 4th place. Joe Foley would have a career-defining run that start to finish was absolutely incredible. Some big air launches, hitting jumps at some very weird angles, which did seem to hinder his truck, but he still managed to continue on with some great pace, more big air, as well as a consecutive backflip into a save. The run ended with a donut that would erupt in flames, with Foley thankfully getting out in time. Joe Foley would score a 9.715, taking the lead away from his Team Scream teammate, Chris Kohler. Ryan Anderson would have to follow up that incredible run from Joe Foley, and despite his score, I would say that he succeeded. It's what you come to expect from Ryan Anderson. Incredible flow throughout, insane transfers and air, even some two-wheel technicality, and a great save at the end. The only thing it was missing was a backflip, which was probably the deal breaker for fans. As previously mentioned, he scored really low for how good that run was, only scoring an 8.163. However, I do still agree with Foley being in the lead over Ryan, but I do think that his score should have been much closer to what Foley had put up. Camden Murphy would be next to try and trump Joe Foley. His run was pretty solid, though comparing the last 30 seconds of his run to the rest of it is kind of like comparing a Ford Mustang to a Lamborghini. The start of his run up until the backflip was not bad by any means, but after the backflip, it's kind of like a switch was flicked and he just went absolutely mad. Kind of like another driver who has a formula that is very similar to this, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. I'm sure it'll come to me later, but after his backflip, he would get the biggest air I have ever seen off of a jammer, absolutely launching the Bakugan Dragonoid into the sky, rebounding down, and somehow pulling off this outrageous save. It was good enough for 4th place, as Adam Anderson would finally return to the track after the technicians and crew would fix Gravedigger in time for freestyle. We get this pretty cool visual of a full moon as bad to the... Reagan, what the hell are you doing? Like his brother, Adam Anderson's run was nothing short of what you come to expect from Adam. There were some slow points, yes, but for the most part, it was just point and shoot, big air, insane speed, incredible transfers and cross threads. Even a huge mini flip attempt was awesome to see. In the eyes of the judges, Adam would now take 4th place, with Joe Foley still leading freestyle, as one final truck was left, that being the reigning freestyle champion, Colt Stevens. However, his run was definitely not what he was hoping for, only getting a few hits in before his truck seemingly shut off. The run was called done, not even filling 30 seconds and thus not receiving a score. That means for the first time behind the wheel of El Toro Loco and second time overall in his illustrious Monster Jam career, Joe Foley wins freestyle as 3 of Team Scream's drivers secure the top 3 in the freestyle standings. And for the second time this season, Ryan Anderson takes home the overall event championship as the tour prepares for their final stint in San Diego. The sun was out in full force for Show 4 of San Diego, and drivers knew they would go all out for the San Diego fans one last time for 2024. In round 1 of racing, the very first race was absolutely crazy. Camden Murphy loses it in the second corner, barely making the save and giving Jim Kohler a huge advantage. Then, Jim flips in the final corner, essentially giving Camden Murphy the win. If that wasn't strange enough, Murphy almost flips before crossing the finish line, getting a wheelie off the landing ramp, but quickly settling it down to ensure his victory against Kohler. Caleb Blood would also fall victim to the same corner that Kohler had flipped in, losing to Chris Kohler in Monsterma in the process. Corey Rummel thankfully defeated this right lane curse, defeating Mike Christensen in Vendetta and advancing into round 2. Joining him would be Colt Stevens, who would defeat David Olfer. In round 2, Camden Murphy defeated Adam Anderson in a photo finish, Barry Musawa defeated Chris Kohler, and Ryan Anderson defeated Corey Rummel. If racing wasn't chaotic enough already, how about this race between Joe Foley and Colt Stevens, where both trucks flipped over before the race had even finished? This meant that Corey Rummel would have a second chance against Ryan Anderson as a result of the rollovers from the last race. In the semi-finals, Camden Murphy defeated Barry Musawa, and Ryan Anderson once again defeated Corey Rummel. The final round pitted Camden Murphy against Ryan Anderson, in what would hopefully be a super close finish. That would not be the case, as Ryan Anderson exits the berm squarely, forcing him to make a save and handing Camden Murphy his second racing win of the season. Like last night's skills challenge, Show 4's competition was another great time with some great routines from almost all drivers. I do want to give props to drivers like Jim Kohler for trying new moves, as Jim has been trying stoppies and bicycles with one of the other San Diego events that we haven't covered in our event review series, seeing him try a maximum moonwalk. Adam Anderson would take third place in skills with a really unique routine this time around. He would perform a great slap wheelie off the jammer, ride it all the way to the berm and up the landing ramp, trying to combo it into a moonwalk but settled it down. His other hit was a nice bicycle into the side of the pod, helping him switch from one side to the other. Taking second place in skills was surprisingly David Olfer in Velociraptor, who pulled off 2 clean moonwalks, one off the pod and the other off the stepper. However, taking the win once again in skills would be Ryan Anderson in Son of a Digger. His run was almost identical to Show 3, with another clean maximum moonwalk off the backflip and a great bicycle off the berm. Freestyle was just as good as Show 3, and we got to see some more incredible freestyles and moments. After last night's uneventful night filled with mechanical gremlins, I hate to report that it seemed to continue for Mike Christensen at Show 4. Early into his run, he would hit the jammer and appear to break something. The truck looked hurt, and as a result, he pulled off and received a 4.731. Colt Stevens would properly get freestyle started, and he would more than make up for his disappointing freestyle from last night. The run was filled with huge air and 2 great saves, as well as a huge over-rotated backflip. Jim Kohler would hit the track next, and his run would be substantially better than last night's. He would throw in a great bicycle save early on. Trying to cross-thread into the step-up, though, would send him over early. David Olfer would once again lay down another heater of a run with some great pace, a nice slap wheelie. He even threw in some insane transfer leaps from the landing ramp to the backside of the berm, and ended the run with a great backflip. This run would not be enough for the lead, but would take second place. Bari Musau would hit the track next, and his run was somewhat similar to last night's, but improved upon it. He did throw in a nice transfer, kept the pace and flow pretty well, but again still felt like the run was missing a wow factor. The run would not take the lead, as out next was Ryan Anderson in Son of a Digger. What else can be said about this driver and his absolutely incredible freestyles? Well, San Diego Show 4 showed us just what Ryan Anderson is capable of, with easily the best pace of the night, the biggest transfer arguably of the whole weekend, a perfect backflip into moonwalk, and just huge air throughout. The judges agreed and scored this run a 9.598, and subsequently took the lead away from Colt Stevens. Anyone that has to follow a Ryan Anderson run has a tall order to fill, and Kayla Blood would have an especially hard time considering Ryan now leads freestyle. However, she really put down the beginnings of a winning freestyle run. She matched Ryan Anderson in the pace and air department, threw in a great save at the start and had a crazy save attempt at the end, barrel rolling into a sidewall save that unfortunately had no energy to pull it off. She would receive an 8.524, not anywhere close to Ryan's score, but still did a fantastic job nonetheless. Camden Murphy would put up a great run that was again another strong contender for freestyle of the night. He matched Ryan in transfers, and his largest transfer had about the same pace, almost had this disastrous moment early on, but did manage to save it, as well as a backflip. The only thing that the run was missing was another gigantic launch off the jammer, but it was still a very good run. It would place fourth, as Ryan's older brother Adam would hit the track next. He would come out swinging out of the gate, getting huge air off the step up from his pit stall. From there on out, it's what we come to expect from Adam Anderson. A tail dragging slant wheelie, another ginormous transfer, a small save after almost getting tripped up on the pod, and ironically would end his run getting tripped up on the step up after crashing into the side of it. Leaving 30 seconds on the clock would mean that he would not fill time, and his brother still leads freestyle. Corey Rummel would be on his way to having a fantastic run. However, an awful rebound would send him over early. Chris Kohler would unfortunately suffer the same fate, getting bit by the good old dirt monster even earlier than Rummel would. Last night's freestyle winner was now tasked with ending off the show on a high note, and despite its length, I'd say Foley succeeded. He came out swinging on his first hit, but caused him to drive sideways into the pod, flipping him over. He would try to flip El Toro Loco back onto his wheels, even getting some crazy sidewalls in the process. Unfortunately, he would not make the save, flipping before 30 seconds had finished. This meant that Ryan Anderson would win freestyle and the overall, which would be a huge help in his championship chase. Let us now talk about this championship chase. Unsurprisingly, Ryan Anderson leads the charge. However, both Adam Anderson and Camden Murphy trail behind with only a 7-point difference between those two and Ryan Anderson. Corey Rummel takes 4th place over his season rival Bari Musau, who sits in 5th. Colt Stevens holds on to 6th place, rounding out the top 6. Chris Kohler secures 7th, David Olfert sits in 8th, Joe Foley jumps up to 9th, Kayla Blood finally moves out of last place, moving into 10th, Mike Christensen takes 11th, and poor Jim Kohler unfortunately holds until last place on Stadium Championship Series West. San Diego was another great weekend for Stadium Championship Series West. Both shows were equally exciting and gave us some incredible moments. Show 3, of course, was definitely highlighted by the incredible freestyle competition that we saw, and of course the feel-good freestyle winner with Joe Foley. And Camden Murphy, my goodness, if that doesn't win Air of the Year, I don't know what will. That show also featured an incredible number of amazing saves. Show 4 was probably the most consistently good show that we have covered on our event review series for this year. Racing was fantastically chaotic. Skills was really fun to watch, and freestyle was just as action-packed. Except for the last 3 freestyles, I will admit. After a bit of tossing and turning over the ratings, I decided that I would rank both San Diego Show 3 and San Diego Show 4 4.25 stars. While I would have ranked Show 4 higher, the lackluster end to freestyle and the fact that I felt that Show 3 had the better freestyle competition, it helped it rank similarly to the previous event. MonsterTalk News returns this weekend with lots of news to cover, as well as results from both the week before and this past weekend, as well as updated points. So make sure to tune in. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon with some more MonsterTalk content.